Hey Aquarius, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your March 2023 monthly horoscope. Before I start, I'm just going to do a quick bit of business. These videos are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I talk about Aquarius, I'm talking about Aquarius rising. If you are an Aquarius moon or Aquarius sun, the video is still applicable to you, but the house structure will not be the same. If you don't know your rising sign, you can go to any one of the free birth calculators on the internet and just plug in your exact time of birth, location, and you will get that information. I believe that checking the rising, then the moon, and then the sun gives you a complete picture of what will transpire over the month, period of time, whatever it is. I believe the moon is on a par with the rising sign because we are emotional creatures as humans and we manifest off our emotional body. So I think that's important. The second thing I want to say is when I've mentioned a day and a time, I'm in the Pacific time zone, so adjust for your location. Let's jump in, Aquarius, because this is a big, big month for you as you will start to feel Pluto's transit into your first house of self. So let's start with March 3rd. We're going to feel the end of February and the beginning of March up until, let's say, the 7th or so. We are going to feel a conversation between Venus, Chiron, and Jupiter in your third house of Aries. So this is going to be an opportunity for you to really take your skills, look at your skills, and think about how you want to express them out into the world. The third house is naturally ruled by Gemini. And so this is going to rule your workmates, your teammates, your everyday activities, what you think, what you write, what you speak, all sorts of social media, your emails, your passwords, the sidewalks you walk on. The third house rules our everyday activities. And here, having it be the sign of Aries, it feels like it kind of doubles down on the individuality that Aquarius represents overall. So here, Venus to me in an exact conjunction on the 3rd of March with Chiron, and having Jupiter only a degree away is having me revisit the wound that I feel, either feeling, whatever, we all have a wound inside of us. It feels exasperated here, but in the exasperation or the expansion of the wound, I get to really liberate myself and reinvent myself and redefine myself to myself, and then potentially birth that back out into the physical world. Because on the same day, March 3rd, Mercury will enter Pisces. And as it enters Pisces, it has been having a conversation with Saturn at the very last degrees of Aquarius. So here, Pisces is your second house. This is a money house. This is a house that Venus naturally rules. So a lot of this is playing out to me for Aquarius about birthing a renovated version of yourself into the world that's more authentic to who you are and how you've evolved. Because Mercury, again, is ruling what I think and my everyday activities. And here we are seeing that this first conversation with Venus and Chiron and Jupiter is in the house that Mercury naturally rules. The third house is naturally Gemini. Now, Saturn transiting your first house has had you, take a good hard look at who you are, what you want for yourself, and has probably brought up a lot of historic beliefs that have either served you or not. And I think they've been up for review. So here we're really going to feel a strong energy because Saturn is just about to move into your first house. And that last degree, the 29th degree, is an anaretic degree. It reduces down to an 11, which is the master number of thought. So here we have Mercury, which represents my everyday thought, the monkey mind, the things I have to get done, the things I think about that are running on a loop in my head versus an intentional thought. And so here Saturn is really starting to say, I'm about to leave my domicile, and I want to extract as much information as possible so that when I move into Pisces, I can really work on mastering my spiritual connection and my ability to implement the divine laws of the universe. I really believe that. So on the 7th of March, we will see Saturn enter in Pisces. If you haven't had a chance to check, I have done a separate video for each one of the signs on the Pluto transit into Aquarius and Saturn moving into Pisces. So please check that out. We also have a full moon on the very same day. So this feels really powerful because Saturn here, ruling history, ruling obligation and duty and limitation, moving into this sign of escapism on its most challenging level. Pisces wants to just swim away from the darkness of the world. And here we're getting an opportunity as this comes together, rather than to swim away and be afraid, to master the things that we have learned and up until now may have been more conceptual than actually experienced. Because I think that the full moon, and I'm going to do a separate video on the full moon as well, this is the 6th of 7 full moons in a row at the 16th degree. I think this is very significant, as each one of those full moons is representing a house in the lower hemisphere of the zodiac wheel, which is very personal. It's me as a soul birthing into the human experience and then traversing these houses and finding my sense of self within them and how I express myself. So this full moon is in Virgo, and this is going to bring about an opportunity for a bit of illumination. And I say it because the sun will be at 16 degrees Pisces, making a sextile to Uranus in Taurus. And Taurus is your 4th house. So I think that you're going to have some sort of illumination about your family experience, your homeland experience. And this is not really about identifying dark energies or, challenging parents or challenging siblings, as much as it's an opportunity to take a piece of information and to see a historic imprint in maybe somebody who's had authority over you or a situation or a dynamic. And now you're reconciling it from a place of your own individual viewpoint. And I think this is really powerful, because I think like it feels almost as if it releases you from something you've been tethered to. By the 10th of March, we have Jupiter and Chiron in an exact conjunction at 14 degrees Aries. This is the Taurian Venusian degree, 14 degrees. And here we have this continued conversation, because I believe that Jupiter wants to extract the wisdom from the wound. I believe that Jupiter here is asking for a bigger picture of how experiences, while they are deemed negative sometimes, actually serve a bigger picture of our happiness. So I think that's what's been going on with Jupiter in meeting with Chiron in Aries at this time, about really looking and determining what is authentic to ourselves as individuals. And as we get excited about that, and we get excited about developing that and nurturing that, it brings an excitement to all the other activities that we take place, or when we interact with other people. All right, now we have an influence that I think will be felt for the second half of March. We have Mars in its last degrees of Gemini making a trine to Saturn in the 1st degree of Pisces. And as Mars moves through the end of Gemini and then into Cancer, we're going to see this trine become an exact trine at the 2nd degree. So Mars in Cancer at 2 degrees and Saturn in Pisces at 2 degrees. By March 29th, we'll be making this harmonious aspect. Here we're seeing Pisces is your 2nd house, and Mars is in Cancer, which is your 6th house. So this is, where have I been enslaved? Where have I inadvertently been dutiful in a way that really left me out of the picture? And at that point, it may have even started to make you feel, there's always the health in the 6th house. And here it feels like stress. It feels like Aquarius rules the nervous system, and this sort of interior battle between wanting to birth the authentic version of yourself and then the things that you are responsible to in your everyday lives may be creating a tension. So here, I think this trine is starting to illuminate how you think, how you feel, in the sense of, as Mars finishes Gemini, how are you showing up? Where are you? How are you submerging your focus? What are you reading about on the internet? What's the dominant energy there, I guess is what I want to say, because when Mars and Saturn have this trine in Cancer and Pisces, it feels very much to me like Saturn is the mentor, like Mr. Miyagi, you know, from the Karate Kid, and Mars is like Daniel, the young buck that just wants to get out there and use his body to beat the bad guy, you know, to conquer his enemy. And here Saturn is slowing him down, saying, first, your weakest point, Mars, is where your fears lie. And if your enemy knows where your fear lies, they have power over you. So here in this harmonious aspect, we are addressing fear, but from a place to rise above it, to use it as a tool for empowerment versus to pull you under. And that's why I think this transit is so powerful. And I think it's a bit of a theme of Saturn moving through Pisces, is taking Saturn to an elevated place where we are reconciling our story. Pisces rules our ancestral history, and Saturn rules history, like our everyday history, the history that we've collected in this lifetime. It also rules, you know, history books, etc. But here I'm putting it in more personal for you. So I think that this is going to be really, really influential and very liberating. On the 16th of March, Venus will enter her rulership in Taurus, which is your fourth house. We've seen Uranus transiting the fourth house for quite some time for you. And I think this has been really about a reconciliation of who you are versus the imprint and the labels you were given as a child. I'm an Aries rising. And I've always been an assertive person. Even in my insecurity, I've been an assertive person. And as a child, I was labeled aggressive, hostile, you know, an argumentative child, you know, not easy that way. And I always kind of interpreted that negatively. I wouldn't trade that for the world now, because it's what got me through that. And I think this is what's going on for Aquarius. There's a sense of liberation coming, because by the 30th of March, and we're seeing that trine between Saturn and Mars on the 29th. Now we're seeing this exact conjunction between Venus and Uranus. There's some sort of liberation. There's a pop of something, and it feels like a relief. Okay, then we have on the 19th, Mercury will enter Aries. And by the 27th of the month, Mercury will be conjunct Jupiter at 18 degrees. That's the Virgonian degree, the degree of the servant, the degree of service to others. So here I think there's going to be some awareness of your thinking process and your beliefs expanding. And from my perception and how spirit shows me, the more we allow for our own individual enjoyment, the more we really do serve humanity. And that's what Aquarius does. It serves the big picture. So here, I think there's going to be an examination of the kind of the two sides of your mind. The small one that gets caught up in the everyday activities, we call it often the monkey mind, and then Jupiter representing the expansive mind, the broader thought, the who am I, why am I here, and why do I matter? And I think this is where you come into an energy that says, I matter because I am. And now I get to practice the truth of the I am. That's what this feels like to me, because we've just felt this liberation brewing between Venus and Uranus as she's moving closer and closer. So we're seeing this kind of all teeing up. On the 20th, we see the sun move into Aries, and on the very next day, we have a new moon at the 0 degree Aries. That's the critical world degree. This is going to be a zodiacal new year. Is zodiacal a word? I'm not sure. The zodiac, the astrology new year is Aries, and this is going to be a new year like no other. Not only do I think that the full moons that we've experienced at the 16th degree are bringing in a theme, it feels as if this birthing, this new moon is stronger than most, because it is working in alignment with this birthing of this new energy. This is 0 degree, and now we've seen Pluto is going to be at the 0 degree of your first house in about 2 seconds. And then we have Saturn moving into Pisces, which I'm really perceiving as a way to master my spirituality and then build upon that in the material world. So that new moon is on the 21st at 10:23 a.m. and I will do a separate video for that as well. On the 23rd, we see Pluto enter your first house, and it's going to do that for a very short period of time, just almost like maybe 2 months barely, before it retrogrades back into Capricorn in June. So this is really going to give you a taste of what is looking forward for between 2024 and 2044, Pluto will be going through your first house. And I really want you to think of this as the high vibrations of Pluto, because Pluto has the heart on the surface of the planet. And this is where it's really going to encourage you to come from your heart. And this 0 degree is going to feel like you're birthing a new part of yourself. And yet we're still in the labor. We're still laboring that birth. We're not ready to quite leave the womb yet. So this is very exciting. I also want to mention to Aquarius, I did a separate video, I think I said at the beginning of this video, on the Pluto and Saturn transit. So please check that out because I went into a lot more detail there. Okay, that's it for March 2023. This is a really powerful month, and we are walking into transformational times that we haven't seen in quite in recent history, you know. So it's really akin to liberating ourselves to a new level of awareness of our own power of co-creation. And if anybody's good at doing that, it's Aquarius. So enjoy the month, set strong intentions, and I hope you'll join me Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Pacific time, where I do a live stream and we look at the transits for the week ahead and we get the angels' advice for traversing those transits. Also, please hit the like, subscribe, the notification bell. Please comment. I'm going to be producing a lot more content. I've got a lot of excitement brewing in here. So I hope you're enjoying it, and I'll see you soon, Aquarius. Peace out.